An arranged marriage dragged her into a living hell, where she endured countless deaths. The girl finally realized that the gods were deaf to her pleas. Dragging her frail body, she began to fight back. Years later, with overwhelming force, she turned hell upside down. Alicia Sirius Line was the youngest daughter of the Marquis line, a miracle born once in 2 centuries. Yet, due to her illegitimate status, she lived like the most fragile glass in a greenhouse. Since childhood, she was confined at home, with only books for company. Even a breath of fresh air was a luxury. Under the crown of a noble lady, she had long seen her destiny. She was nothing more than a political pawn to maintain the family's prosperity. She was only kept alive because she was a girl who could be traded. At 17, her marriage contract arrived as expected. Her fiancé was the son of Earl Buck, who controlled the North, Gregory. This seemingly perfect power alliance was shattered when Gregory was caught in an affair and punished by a duel. Though he survived, he was left a broken man. The Line family called off the engagement, but the Bucks refused. An 8-year legal battle ensued, draining her youth. By the time the Lines won, Alicia was 25. She was well past the prime age for a noble lady, but her father's arrangements never failed to arrive. This time, her suitor was Grand Duke Reichard Tyson, the man who ruled the western border, known as the Land of Gold and Death. Worse, he was the emperor's half-brother, nicknamed the Grand Duchess Slayer because Tyson's previous 6 wives had all died in accidents, either before or after the wedding. Even the sheltered Alicia had heard those chilling rumors. This was effectively sending her to her death. She gripped her skirt, wanting to scream that she didn't want to marry or die, but under her father's cold stare, she lost her voice. Her desires had never mattered. As the rain poured, her maid silently brushed her hair. Suddenly, the words, "My lady, please do not marry," broke the silence. She then hurriedly apologized. Alicia only whispered that it was okay and asked for some time alone. Reichardt's efficiency was terrifying. In her room, chests of jewels, dowries, and marriage documents had already arrived. The expensive gems showed the owner's wealth. Then, she noticed an ancient pendant in the corner. Picking it up, she realized it was a pocket watch. The moment she opened it, darkness swallowed everything. Space began to warp and collapse. Alicia felt weightless and fell. When she woke up, only endless pitch blackness surrounded her. Water dripped onto her cheek, feeling strangely slimy. She wondered what it was. Behind her, there was a strange statue. She turned stiffly and saw the most terrifying sight of her life. Year 350 of the Benedictine era. Alicia Sirius Line fell into the depths of hell. The grime-covered girl held her breath until the monster's heavy snoring began. She knew her only chance to escape had come. The day she fell into this purgatory, she died. Or rather, she had died many times. Before, a small wound took a week to heal. Now, even if her body was torn apart, it would recover within a single day. Immortality sounded like a gift, but to Alicia, it was the cruelest curse. Facing endless torture, she couldn't even seek death. At first, she begged. She pleaded with the monsters over and over, begging to be spared. But dying again and again fueled a towering rage. What did I do to deserve this? She tried to resist, only to be shredded repeatedly. Alicia decided to run. She clenched her fists. Even if hope was slim, she didn't want to stay in this painful loop. No, she had to escape. The girl ran frantically toward the cave entrance with all her might. When the light from the entrance pierced the dark, she thought she was finally free. The next second, cold claws dragged her back into the shadows. She lost count of how many times she died, until even the pain went numb. Hearing the sound of flesh being gnawed, she had become a hunting target for the monster cubs. These little monsters wouldn't deliver a fatal blow. They just nibbled on her body, making her feel every inch of flesh being torn. In her days, she remembered her engagement to Reichard Tyson. If that Grand Duchess Slayer knew she was now immortal, would he beg to marry her? After all, she was the perfect bride to help him clear his murderous reputation. Sharp pain snapped her back. They were eating exceptionally slowly today. She really hated pain. The girl suddenly froze. Since she hated it, why not just kill them first? It was so simple. She only just realized it. Everything changed from that moment. Sharp, hard bones on the ground became her weapons. The monsters weren't immortal, but she was. This battle's outcome was decided from the start. She started with the weakest, one by one. She died and was constantly resurrected. Every time she was torn apart, her next attack became faster and more brutal, until one day, she finally drove a bone deep into the throat of the fiercest beast. When Alicia found her hidden pocket watch, she saw only 20 days had passed, but it felt like years. How many times had she died? The girl vented her rage on the beast's remains. She screamed, "You scumbags! You greedy monsters! Tearing someone apart alive? Do you know how much that hurts?" The crushed remains beneath her feet suddenly glowed. A yellow crystal rolled out. She leaned down and held it up to her eyes. "What is this?" In reality, a cufflink radiated the same light. The line carriage had just arrived at Raycart's territory. "The Marquis's daughter is missing," an attendant reported softly. Rykart Tyson's lips curled into a mocking smile. "Missing? What a boring word game." Yet his expression didn't look nearly as indifferent as his tone. The tip-piercing Sialic skull. She said coldly, "I am not interested in introductions." The demon turned into a massive crystal, larger and purer than any before. This put her in a good mood. Where to next? North or south? She shattered the crystal with her spear to absorb the power, but suddenly froze. This feeling was exactly like when she first fell into hell. Wait, she hadn't finished absorbing the mana. When Alicia opened her eyes again, she was back in her bedroom. As she looked up, she was stunned. She rushed to the mirror, staring at the visibly younger face, speechless. How did I get younger? A sharp pain in her ankle brought her back. When did I sprain this? In fact, Alicia hadn't just gotten younger. The power she gained in hell had vanished too. It was as if time had reset. All that hard-earned power from those crystals was gone. "My lady, it's Daisy. May I come in?" Through Daisy, Alicia realized she was back at age 17. She didn't know whether to be happy or sad. Her weak body and the shock made her world go black. She fainted again. When she woke, a lady was sitting by her bed. The girl muttered that she was thirsty. The lady immediately brought her water, her voice full of concern. "Drink slowly, Alicia. Your body hasn't recovered yet." "I was so worried when I heard you fainted." Alicia was still dazed. "Thank you, mother." This stunned the woman. Alicia wasn't her biological daughter. When she first learned her husband brought home an illegitimate child, she was furious. While everyone thought the madam would lash out, she instead knelt down with a warm smile. "Hello. Are you Alicia? I'm your mother." Back then, the maids had already brainwashed her into thinking the madam was terrifying. "Remember, nothing here belongs to you. You must never cross the line." The madam didn't get angry at her rudeness. Instead, she smiled even more gently. "Did I startle you? I'm sorry, I was just so happy." Back then, Alicia clearly adored this kind and beautiful woman, but she never dared to respond. Guilt eventually swallowed her because her existence was proof of her father's infidelity. Only after falling into hell did she regret her cowardice. "Mother, can I have more water?" "Yes, dear, I'll get it right now." "Do you need anything else?" "I've prepared everything for you. Since you're weak, should I get some herbs?" Alicia gently took her mother's hand. "Mother, is my fiancé Gregory of the Buck family?" Her mother was shocked. "How did you know that?" "Actually, I really hate Gregory." Terrifyingly serious. "I bet whether she ran away or really went missing, she is as good as dead." No one knew that deep in hell, a young girl was leaping from the sky, her spear aimed straight at the monster below. The blade gleamed. Year 300 of the Benedictine era. Alicia had survived in hell. After taking down the Demon King, she actually returned to when she was 17. Before that, she had been trapped in hell for 8 long years. The girl leaped from the heights, her spear pointing directly at the monster. With a cold flash, another demon was slaughtered. Alicia didn't just survive in hell. She thrived. After slaying the giant beast, she habitually leaned down to collect her loot. A creature was hiding nearby and launched a sneak attack the moment she found the crystal, but the attack missed. Alicia flipped back nimbly, grabbing the creature's head and delivering a brutal knee strike. "You dare touch my prey?" The man was sent flying dozens of meters. She pressed on. Even in hell, thieves must be punished. Only then did the beast-eared man panic. "Please, spare me." Alicia froze. The monster could talk. Having barely escaped death, the man knelt and apologized frantically, promising to give up all his crystals. "Please, spare my life. I will never step foot here again." This was the first time Alicia met a creature she could communicate with. "Do you know where this is?" Sialic. In that moment, she realized the hell she'd been in for 8 years actually had a name. Her only knowledge of this place came from books she'd read. A crimson sky, a dark shrouded land, and cracked black rocks. Even breathing felt like being burned. She tossed the crystal she just got. "What exactly is this?" The crystals she took from the monsters were magical. If you eat them, your body becomes stronger. "These are mana-infused crystals. You're just throwing them on the ground?" Alicia raised an eyebrow. "Are they rare?" You have no idea how valuable they are. These are the biggest I've ever seen. They must be near lord level. The man greedily thought that if he had these, he could become much more powerful. You can have them. He stood there stunned. What? I said they're yours. He looked skeptical. Really? Of course, but first you need to answer a few questions. From the beast-eared man, she learned that crystals were concentrated mana. To get stronger ones, she couldn't just hunt ordinary beasts. She had to find the demons blessed with intelligence. They could control mana and grow stronger by absorbing their own kind. And in all of hell, the strongest were the 4 great demons. Immediately, Alicia went to the nearest western demon's territory. The castle gate slowly opened and a raspy, sandpaper-like voice spoke. Seeker, welcome to Castle Sialic. I am the Western Lord, Sialic. Before he could finish, Alicia thought her brothers hated her. A small smile appeared. It's so good to be back. Through him, she learned the marriage was almost set, only pending royal approval and an official announcement. Do you really hate this marriage that much? Alicia didn't answer, but brought something up. Do you remember my social debut? I took a fall on the dance floor. It made me the laughingstock of the party. Actually, no one would have cared if I'd just gotten right back up. But someone led the laughter. That person was Gregory. My very first debut was ruined like that. Harry's expression tightened. If I go kill him now, would that make you feel better? No need, I stopped caring long ago. But thanks anyway. The more indifferent she was, the more Harry's blood boiled. If I can't kill him, how about a duel? I can at least break one of his legs, right? Then, Alicia suddenly pulled out a letter. He was confused. What's this? Please, deliver this to Grand Duke Tyson. Harry's pupils shrank. What exactly are you up to? The girl gave a mysterious smile. Keep it a secret and send it out. You'll help me, right, brother? A few days later, at the Reichardt territory, Grand Duke Tyson received a strange letter. His marital status had never been public. It was a royal secret. But the letter warned him that his fiancée's health was fragile and she was in danger. His estate couldn't have leaked it, and neither had the royals. Tyson looked at the letter and said deeply, Hen, stay here. Roderick, come with me out of town immediately. The adjutant trembled. Your Highness, are you going to meet this person named Sirius? Tyson tapped the address on the letter. They've pointed out the place. They basically invited me to meet them. Keep the entourage to a minimum. Roderick tried to argue, but a look shut him up. After the butler and adjutant left, Tyson stared at the delicate but striking crest on the paper and whispered, Sirius, who exactly are you? Meanwhile, at the Line estate, Alicia looked out the window. The letter must have arrived by now. She had to set things right before those past tragedies could happen. Alicia borrowed a carriage from her mother, but as they neared the destination, the carriage jolted violently. After a few bumps, a massive headache suddenly hit her. In hell, she never had this issue. Was her current self really this weak? A moment later, she sensed someone approaching. Daisy looked out. I'll go check. Alicia tried to stop her, but something flew through the air. Daisy collapsed. Alicia rushed to her. She was still breathing. She quickly found a poison needle in Daisy's neck. It smelled like cinnamon and cypress. Only one kind of poison smelled like that, and it shouldn't be. Here, Mutimer. It was Musto. The door was suddenly pulled open. A knight stepped in. She's just asleep, not in danger. Don't worry. The knight picked Daisy up. The man who first opened the door said, please step out, miss. Alicia, or should I call you Sirius? Hair like molten gold, pale skin, and blood-red eyes. Clear as crystal. He really didn't look royal at all, but he wasn't what people said either. Gregory. She thought that although noble agreements were vital, their engagement ceremony hadn't happened yet. Maybe there was a chance. I get it. Just leave it to me. I don't like that Gregory guy either. Even though they look and act nothing alike, for some reason he reminds me of your father when he was young. Her mother hugged her gently. My baby, just trust your mom. I will never let you be forced into a marriage you don't want. That evening, Alicia walked briskly and pushed open the door to her father's office. Release my mother right now. The Marquis interrupted. You barge in without the butler even announcing you? Where are your manners? Alicia, go back to your room immediately. This time, she didn't back down. Huh. Is that what you say after putting the lady of the house under house arrest, Marquis Waldemar Line? To break the engagement, the girl didn't just threaten to bash her fiancé's head in. She confronted him about locking up her mother. The Marquis warned in a low voice. Walls have ears. Watch your mouth. Your mother is just unwell and resting. How ridiculous. The girl's voice was full of sarcasm. She was clearly locked up for opposing my engagement. You dare bully the lady of this house. Yet you're afraid of being overheard? The Marquis snapped. Enough. Shut your mouth. But Alicia pressed closer, her eyes filled with coldness. If the Marquis' daughter bashes her fiancé's head with a hammer at the engagement, what do you think people will say? These words completely ignited the Marquis' rage. He swung his hand and slapped Alicia. Her head jolted to the side, but her lips curled into a cold smirk. Go ahead, threaten me. I've been wanting to do this anyway. I've just been holding back. The Marquis stared at his daughter, suddenly feeling a chill down his spine. Her eyes weren't like a typical noble lady's. They were like a warrior's who had grown used to life and death on the battlefield. Ever since she barged in, he felt something was off. The girl who was usually obedient was making a scene in his office and dared to snap at him. But he quickly reassured himself. It was just a teenage tantrum. A person who used to tremble just talking to him couldn't possibly change. He finally said coldly, "Go to your room and reflect immediately. Since this is your first offense, I won't punish you." The girl's tone was totally indifferent. Whatever. Her attitude shocked her second brother, Harry Morstan, who just walked in. You're banned from the main house, aren't you? Worried? Worried about what? It's actually more relaxing not to see that guy. Alicia shifted the subject. What about Mom? Is she free to move around? She just can't come to the annex. She wanted to see you, but our big brother stopped her because he was afraid of another argument with father. The girl looked thoughtful. Our big brother has it rough too. Well, now that you've seen my situation, you can go back and report to Mom. That's why you're here, right? Alicia, I came because I was worried about you. The girl froze. Are we even that close? Her brother felt the sting. He forced a smile. You might not realize it, but I actually care a lot about my only sister. Alicia felt a bit strange. Her brother actually cared, but it felt kind of nice. Because of her illegitimate status. As they say, while she was observing him, Tyson was also sizing her up. She looked frail and timid. It was hard to imagine this was the woman who sent him that letter. He spoke first. I heard Miss Greta has a heart condition. Alicia smiled. So he did investigate her background. She wouldn't even make it to Reichardt before collapsing. Only family insiders know this. How did you find out? Tyson reached out to help Alicia down, but she lifted her skirt and hopped down herself. The meeting spot isn't here. It's a bit further ahead. The ignored man clenched his fist. Rumor said the Marquis' daughter was shy and charming, but the person before him was the opposite. He followed her. Why? Choose to meet here? Because I need to confirm something. Dolores' stone circle acts as a sundial. Day shows life. Night represents death. After sunrise, non-humans cannot enter. Have you been here before, Your Highness? First time. And you? Alicia paused. Me too. Tyson walked past her toward the circle, seeing her stay back. He stopped. Aren't you coming in? You go first. A hint of doubt flashed in his eyes. What was her game? Was this a trap? The real reason Alicia stopped was because she feared she couldn't enter. Seeing Tyson walk in without hesitation, she sounded a bit envious. Your Highness, are you human? Aren't you afraid? They say if you can't even take one step inside, it means you aren't human. To Tyson, this sounded different. Did she believe those rumors about him being a demon? There's nothing to fear. They're just rocks. Since returning from hell, Alicia hadn't confirmed one thing. Since hell was real, and she had fallen there and returned, was she still even human? Or had she become a monster too? As she stepped into the circle, her long-standing anxiety vanished. She beamed. I guess I am human after all. Tyson thought she was bizarre. Thanks. To you. I've cleared up what I wanted to know. The girl suddenly realized she was too close and quickly backed away. I should introduce myself properly. I am Alicia Sirius Line, the one who sent you the letter. I know you're the Marquis' daughter. Good, since you know. That makes things easier. The girl suddenly dropped to one knee. Grand Duke Reichardt, Tyson, please marry me. Her expression was dead serious, but Tyson felt played. He thought she was a total weirdo. She's crazy. You might have a lot of questions, but I guarantee you won't regret it. Tyson cut her off. You think I came all this way for this nonsense? What a waste of time. Wait. You haven't even heard my proposal yet. No need. Aren't you curious how I know about the royal marriage? Tyson still didn't look back. Not interested. Just then, the man suddenly stopped, his face turning pale. It wasn't time for the curse yet. Was he too far from his territory? Intense pain and deafening noise flooded his mind. He had to get back. Your Highness, what's wrong? Alicia reached out to help, but he shoved her away. Don't touch me. He gasped, teeth clenched. I'm fine. Rejected once again. Turn back. Brother, it seems it's time for you to go. Just as she said that, an attendant rushed over. "You must return to the main house immediately." The attendant glanced at Alicia and whispered, "It's hard to explain here. Please, head back first." Alicia thought it must be something important. "I'm sorry, Alicia. Looks like I have to go. I'll be back as soon as I can. Don't cause any trouble while I'm gone." He smiled and said goodbye. Once her brother was gone, Alicia pulled the reins and took a deep breath. When she first returned, she wasn't used to this body. She nearly jumped off the balcony once. If the maids hadn't caught her, she would have broken her legs. She remembered how to fight. Those skills were etched into her soul, but the body's limits were clear. No matter how much she trained, it was hard to break through. Still, so far, her condition wasn't too bad. The girl leaped through the trees with ease, as light as a bird. Since returning from hell, what she wanted most was mana crystals. Her arm strength was still insufficient. Hard work alone couldn't match the power granted by crystals. A shadow fell over her. Alicia looked up and saw Tyson Reichart. Is this how everyone in the Marquis Line's family trains? She scrambled up, surprised. "What are you doing here?" Tyson reached out his hand. "I came for the knighthood ceremony." The moment their hands touched, Alicia froze. His cufflink held a yellow gem. "What were you doing just now?" She stood up abruptly. "Nothing, just some casual exercise." Tyson's hand hung awkwardly in the air. He sounded slightly annoyed. "So, special training that most of the knights can't complete is just casual exercise to you? Let's stop there." Seeing her change the subject, he felt helpless but didn't press further. "Let's get those leaves out of your hair first. Here or here?" The man sighed. "Forgive my rudeness." He reached out and removed the leaves. Done. But in the next second, Alicia lunged toward him. Tyson backed away in panic. He didn't notice the step behind him and fell backward. Alicia landed in his arms. She whispered, "I thought I saw it wrong." She grabbed Tyson's hand, as if afraid he'd run away. The man was completely flustered. "Miss Alicia, please let me go." Just as she let go, she grabbed his wrist instead. "Your Highness, could I have this cufflink?" There was no mistaking it. It was embedded with a mana crystal. Faced with his fiancée's bold move, he was panicking inside, but forced himself to act cool. Not long ago, upon hearing Alicia ask for his cufflink, Tyson instantly regained his composure. "Unfortunately, this is a family heirloom." Instead, it only fueled Alicia's temper. She stepped forward and grabbed his hand. "I'm just trying to help you back to the carriage." In an instant, Tyson's world went silent. All the noise in his head vanished. Seeing him frozen, Alicia wondered if he was angry again because she took his hand without permission. Just as she was about to let go, he suddenly gripped her hand tight and pulled her close. "Don't let go." Alicia was stunned. The two of them sat together, awkwardly holding hands. Alicia asked, "Do we really have to talk like this?" Tyson's expression was grim. "Yes, this is the condition for our talk." Feeling embarrassed, he covered his face and whispered, "So what exactly do you want from me?" The girl smiled. "Your Highness, please marry me. If you agree, I will predict the future for you 4 times a year." While her training had hit a plateau, Alicia unexpectedly discovered a mana crystal on Grand Duke Tyson, something that only existed in hell. Its faint glow meant she could regain her full power. Not long ago, they had settled on an agreement. At first, Tyson didn't believe she could see the future. Facing his doubt, she simply smiled. "The only reason you came all this way is because everything I said was true." And it was. He had a rough idea of her goal. "Who do you need me to get rid of?" "Gregory of the Buck family." Tyson fell silent. Severing ties with the Bucks would be a loss. But this woman held the clues to his curse. This deal was in his favor. He immediately agreed. "We can't marry right away, but we can get engaged first. That should be enough to break ties with the Bucks. I'll treat you properly as the future Grand Duchess. Aside from that, do you need anything else?" The girl thought for a moment. "No, I trust you'll handle the arrangements. However, let me be clear. I am quite greedy." Tyson replied, "I'll keep that in mind. Now that we're done, can you let go of my hand?" Tyson let her go. With the plan succeeding, Alicia was in high spirits. "I'll be in your care, Your Highness." Tyson looked at her and replied, "As will I." Soon, news of Alicia's engagement to Tyson Reichart spread nationwide. Rumor had it, the Grand Duke fell in love at first sight with the lady from the north. He even gifted her the most magnificent castle in his territory along with a vast stretch of land. Meanwhile, the woman in the news was busy training. Without the aid of crystals, recovery was too slow. "Alicia, is this true?" Her second brother rushed into the training field with a newspaper. The headline was striking. Miss Alicia to become the Countess of Echeverria. She didn't expect the news to spread so fast, or that Tyson's efficiency would be this high, making such a grand show. Despite being the lead, the newspaper only talked about the Grand Duke. That's because you're barely known in the social circles. Wait. That's not the point. What have you been doing lately? Just then, an attendant arrived with a horse. My lady, everything is ready. Seeing his sister's eyes light up, the brother was confused. You've never learned to ride a horse, have you? Instead of answering, she ran to the horse and mounted it with ease. She looked at him and said, "Of course I have." To herself, she added, "Even if it was in hell." The brother felt he understood her less and less. Is your full sibling correct? You know the basics. Don't let my appearance fool you. I read a lot. The palace will send tutors to teach you more. Also, your unique hobbies? Better keep those hidden. Alicia readily agreed. Tyson promised his full support. Having finished their official talk, they prepared to part ways. I'll see you at the knighthood ceremony. Once the dress color is decided, I'll send word. Tyson leaned in, whispering into her ear in a low voice. Alicia was startled. Really? I saw it with my own eyes. I hope that helps. Tyson arrived like a spell and left like the wind. Though he startled her, she felt he was far better than the rumors. The servants who had left suddenly swarmed back, bombarded her with questions. My lady, since when were you and the Grand Duke so close? How did you meet him? These people were silent just a moment ago. She frowned. Everyone except Daisy. Get back inside. She told Daisy to pack immediately for the Echeverria territory. Tyson had given her great news. Marquis Line wouldn't be back for a while. His protest against the Buck marriage had angered the emperor, and he was under house arrest. She took the chance to leave home and do as she pleased. The girl hadn't just defied her father's marriage plans. She'd gotten engaged to someone else. When the Marquis rushed home in a rage to confront her, he found she was already gone. In contrast to his temper, her mother was glowing with joy. You said Alicia left for Echeverria? The Marquis, who'd been detained at the palace for days, was baffled. The lady remained calm. The child left a note saying she wanted to see her new territory. Is this some kind of joke? Why didn't you stop her? He hadn't expected his wife to be so defiant. She paused, then gave a disdainful laugh. I couldn't even enter the annex. How could I stop her? The Marquis finally realized something was off. Marina, you did this on purpose, didn't you? Just because of that? I'm just stating facts. Her voice sank. In 17 years, she never asked for a single thing. This is the first time. Give it a rest. Don't use our children as tools for the family. Enough. The Marquis stood up abruptly. This conversation is over. As a line, it's her duty to serve the family. I'll have her brought back. But once she's home, her movements will be restricted as you wish. Watching him walk away, the lady finally relaxed. She bought Alicia a little more time. But she didn't know where Alicia was now. No one expected that Alicia, who was supposed to be at her territory, was actually in the imperial capital. Tyson had arranged royal etiquette tutors for her. Daisy was confused. My lady, weren't we going to Echeverria? Alicia chuckled. With the ceremony coming up, how could I really go? Daisy, let's go shopping first. So I can't give it to you. Alicia raised an eyebrow. Is that so? She was debating whether to just snatch it when he spoke again. Please get up. He turned his face away slightly. A flush spread from his cheeks to his ears. Alicia jumped back, as if burned, stammering apologies. Tyson straightened his disheveled clothes. It's fine. I can't give you this one, but there should be similar gems in the Reichardt territory. I'll find one and give it to you as a gift next time. Hearing there were more, Alicia instantly gave up on the robbery. She caught up to Tyson, her tone cheerful. In that case, I'll return the favor. It won't snow this winter, but from the last week of March to early April, there will be a massive blizzard. Tyson stopped dead in his tracks. Are you serious? He quickly did the math. Late March was early spring. If a blizzard hit then, many people in the territory would freeze to death. They had to prepare. Alicia nodded with a smile. This one is a gift. It won't count toward the prophecy limit. It sounded absurd, but looking at the girl's face, Tyson had a strong gut feeling that everything she said would come true. He thanked her solemnly. I haven't even given you the gem yet. Thanks to you. The territory's losses should be minimized. Before they knew it, they were back. At the mansion, a crowd had gathered. Tyson's adjutant hurried forward. Your Highness, here are the items you requested. Tyson leaned in. Miss Alicia, I have something for you. Just then, the Marquis's butler interrupted. Your Highness, the young Marquis line is waiting for you. Alicia whispered. Weren't you supposed to see him? Ignore him. Tyson moved a bit closer. Alicia, I came to see you. From the start, he had no intention of seeing the rest of the lines. He glared at the crowd. Everyone dismissed. As Daisy was leaving, Alicia signaled her to take the horse back. A voice suddenly came from above. Finally, everyone's gone. It's just us. Tyson opened the box the adjutant gave him. Inside was a set of stunning jewelry. This is Duchess Margaret's ruby set. Wait, you're not giving this to me, are you? Tyson nodded and explained. Margaret's rubies have always been paired with the Count of Echeverria. When you need to attend formal events, you can wear this. Alicia didn't stand on ceremony. I'll put it to good use. Tyson was amused by her serious look, but quickly turned grave. How much do you know about the imperial family? She knew a bit. The late emperor and the current one had 5 princes and 1 princess. The second prince died 7 years ago in an accident. The third prince is Duke Lennox. The fourth is Count Estebuna, and you are the 5th prince. Your only sister. The Croya were said to be led by 6 people. But there was a hidden faction. It was they who betrayed the entire clan. Judith was in disbelief. Really? If you want to know if I'm telling the truth, verify it yourself. But be quick. You'll die if you stay here any longer. Judith's heart tightened. Had they found her? Alicia didn't answer directly, only leaving a cryptic hint. I hope you finish the order before spring. Soon after, Alicia received the invitation to the knighthood ceremony. Inside the palace, tensions rose due to border unrest. Tyson asked the emperor for more troops in the west. Their talk soon turned to his marriage. The ministers were arguing fiercely over the seating arrangements for the ceremony. He and the empress hadn't spoken for 5 days over this. The capital had no info on the new countess, so everyone was pestering the empress, which annoyed her. She took it out on the emperor. This is all your fault, suddenly announcing an engagement and a title. By the way, how is the countess lately? Tyson corrected him. She isn't a countess yet. Whatever. I already granted it. What's the difference? Though Tyson requested this engagement, the emperor was the one who pushed it. He didn't give the Marquis a choice and set the wedding date. If you think she's too young, how about marrying at 19 in 2 years? That's plenty of time to bond. It's a good idea, right? But why do you look so uneasy? Don't you like becoming in-laws with the royals? The Marquis felt a chill. Even though he said he was honored, the emperor still found an excuse to keep him at the palace. He was happy to help his brother, but annoyed at losing Echeverria. Tyson said flatly, one must show sincerity, right? Besides, she's the only one I trust with Echeverria. He stood up to leave. Instead of worrying about this, handle the rumors in the capital. They're saying I kidnapped Alicia with an axe. Well, your reputation is bad. Strange, I asked them to spin a romantic tale of the century. His brother's stare made the emperor feel guilty, just as Tyson was about to leave. The emperor stopped him. Tyson, once winter ends, he will rise again. Be careful. A moment later, Tyson grunted, I'll keep that in mind. After he left, the emperor sighed, looking at the empty hall. Brother, what should I do? The butler was waiting outside. Did it go well? You got the troops? What about Lady Alicia? I wonder if she'll come this winter. Tyson wanted to leave a good impression. Tyson interrupted. She's only 17, but she's no ordinary 17-year-old. She is. The talk of her heading to Echeverria was just a smokescreen. Using her past life's memories, Alicia quickly found someone. Katrina, a genius perfumer who would later become world famous. After a pleasant chat, she bought a perfume and offered Katrina a job at her mansion in the future. Alicia planned to invest in her early, but that wasn't her final goal. After sweeping through the shopping street, Alicia stopped at an obscure shoe shop. The owner was a middle-aged man. How can I help you? Alicia replied, I'm here to order embroidery. Judith, we have a guest. Turns out, an embroidery workshop was hidden on the second floor. With light footsteps, a girl with silver-white hair appeared. To see the embroidery, this way please. Sorry, it's a bit messy. Judith tidied the threads on the table. I'll have it ready in a moment. Please wait. Alicia smiled reassuringly. It's fine. It looks very neat already. Sorry to keep you. I'm Judith Perlman. I haven't learned much, so I'm not sure if this greeting is proper. Alicia introduced herself too. I heard your embroidery skills are superb, so I'd like to place an order. She gestured for Daisy to open the case. These are the blueprints. Can you make these? Judith took them. It wasn't difficult for her. But as she was about to agree, her eyes froze on the handwriting on page 2. Daisy, leave us, Alicia commanded softly. The moment the maid left, Judith gripped the blueprints tight. Hey, sharp, murderous intent flared in her eyes. Alicia was unfazed. Don't worry, only. I know about this. To get here, I took many detours. Before she could finish, Judith lunged at her with scissors. Who are you? Alicia reacted instantly, using her fan to strike Judith's wrist. The scissors flew out of her hand. I should be the person most talked about in the capital right now. Judith's arm went numb. How was she so strong? Alicia said solemnly. I have no ill will toward you. I just want to be your friend. Member of the Croya clan. 8 years ago, the Croya clan was massacred. Back then, 6 mysterious fires broke out near the capital. She was the sole survivor of a certain Croya branch. For years, she hid in this small workshop. Now, this noble-looking girl had ripped open her old scars. Shut up. Judith drew a knife and pointed it at Alicia. Get out. The Croya clan is long gone. Alicia looked up, her tone calm, but her words were sharp as a blade. If you keep running, they will truly vanish from this world. What? Do you know? Judith flared up in rage, but Alicia's next words froze her. I know who betrayed the Croya clan. Judith, I will help you get revenge. The girl's voice trembled. Why? I told you. I want to be your friend. Friends who help each other. Your Highness, she's the one you wrote to and proposed to. Besides, she'll be 18 after summer, the perfect age to marry. Didn't His Majesty say the same? Rykart paused, a trace of impatience in his eyes. Are you the Emperor's spy? But the butler didn't give up. Your Highness, it's right to stay alert. But His Majesty has wanted you to marry for a long time. Josephina is only 2 years apart from you, and even he's married. You can't stay single forever. Enough, Enrique. He stepped into the carriage. I'm not marrying Alicia. Just as he said that, a familiar voice called out from nearby. Your Highness. He spun around to see Alicia standing not far away. Sunlight bathed her face as she smiled brightly. Your Highness, it's been a while. Caught red-handed, Rykart felt doomed. Did she hear him? Alicia tilted her head, her clear eyes filled with confusion. Your Highness? He breathed a sigh of relief. It's nothing. I just didn't expect to run into you here. What brings you here? Alicia replied cheerfully. His Majesty summoned me. He wanted to meet me before the ceremony. Knowing his brother, Rykart feared he'd pressure her into a marriage contract. He quickly changed the subject. Remember that cufflink? I said I'd find a similar one for you. I happen to have one at my capital residence. Want to see it? I'll explain things to His Majesty for you. Alicia's eyes lit up. Almost instantly, she agreed. I'll go inside the residence, Rykart said casually. The Tyson craftsman rarely make jewelry. They were thrilled when the order came in. Alicia was already captivated by the gem. An orange glow reflected on her face. To think such a massive mana crystal actually existed. Do you like it? She snapped back to reality at Rykart's voice. I love it. It's beautiful. She could hardly wait to devour it. But his next words shocked her. Apparently, Tyson had a diamond mine where these gems were mined. Though called the Land of Death, it's actually as beautiful as paradise. Alicia seized the chance. Can I visit? Could I? Just then, maid served tea. Rykart took a sip, his tone cooling slightly. Once the ceremony is over, I must return to Tyson immediately. I might not have time to say much. She knew he rarely left his territory, but leaving right after the ceremony seemed too hurried. When will you return to the capital? Probably after next spring. If anything happens, we can write. Having found a lead on the mana crystals, she didn't want to miss it. Can I go to Tyson with you? Southern Echeverria is better for winter. You should head there first to adjust. Alicia thought. You might as well just tell me not to come. She wanted to push further, but then realized there would be plenty of time later. No need to rush. I understand. As they parted, she remembered something. Your Highness, I've chosen the color for my dress. Rykart nodded. I will take note. Then I look forward to your dress, Your Highness. Lakehart usually tries to keep a low profile, so the butler was feeling a bit smug. You can't just wear whatever you want this time. On the day of the ceremony, the two stood outside the shop as Lakehart's voice came through. Remember the procedure? Just walk straight to the center of the hall after entering. No need to be nervous because you're the star of the show. Just then, the doors slowly opened. The announcement and hushed whispers rushed in. Is that Lady Alicia? It's hard to believe such an angel is engaged to a battle axe-wielding demon. Wait, isn't she wearing Margaret's ruby? I heard the Archduke fell in love at first sight and took her away. So it was true. Alicia ignored the gossip and walked steadily toward the front of the hall. After the formal greeting, the Emperor smiled and motioned her forward, announcing her as the Countess of Echeverria. She replied respectfully. The Emperor was beaming with joy. Today is truly a double blessing. Not only do we have a new countess, but my youngest brother has finally found a life partner. Alicia, welcome to the family. I've prepared a gift for you. As the box opened, Lakehart's brow instantly furrowed. Inside the box, lying quietly, was a bridal veil used only for major royal occasions. His brother was dead set on bringing Alicia into the royal family. Whispers erupted again. Suddenly, the Empress spoke. Archduke Tyson, I heard that. You must return to your territory immediately after the ceremony. Yes, Your Majesty. The border cannot be left unattended. I must head back as soon as possible. To be apart right after getting engaged is heartbreaking. The Empress's tone shifted abruptly. Why not invite your fiancé to Tyson as well? Alicia finally swallowed the magic stone. Meanwhile, monsters that should have been confined to hell broke through the boundaries and appeared in the human world. Thanks to the Empress's suggestion, Alicia set off for Tyson. Upon arriving at the border, Tyson's knights came to receive her. She suggested riding a horse herself. At first, the knights didn't think much of it. Although she rarely appeared in social circles, everyone in the empire knew the Marquis of Lane's stellar record. It took 200 years to have this daughter. In everyone's eyes, this pampered lady probably hadn't even touched anything besides a soup spoon, let alone a horse. But in the next second, everyone's assumptions were shattered. The girl cracked the whip and took off instantly. The escort couldn't even keep up with her horse's tail, let alone protect her. Suddenly, the lead knight's expression froze. He yanked the reins and shouted to the side. Go find the Archduke right now. Tell him Lady Alicia entered the forest alone. Before he finished speaking, he had already taken another knight and dashed into the depths of the forest. They soon found Lady Alicia. This forest was a restricted area, but the girl stood still, staring ahead as if she hadn't heard a thing. Suddenly, the roar of a beast pierced the air. The horses were spooked and frantic. The knights immediately drew their weapons to shield Alicia. Magic beasts, caucus. They had the appearance of wolves, but their bodies were hard as rock. Darn it, the knights' face went completely dark. Protect Lady Alicia. We have to hold out until the Archduke arrives. As they spoke, both of them charged at the magic beasts. The thunderous metallic clash between humans and monsters erupted. A knight's spear had just pried open a monster's defense when the beast suddenly retreated. Two new caucus instantly surrounded him. Overwhelmed 3-1, the spear was knocked away. With a clang, it landed at Alicia's feet. The girl bent down to pick it up, well maintained. I'll borrow this. Just then, the monster behind her opened its massive maw. The knight screamed in horror, look out, but in the next second, the girl vanished. She leaped backward, her body carving a sharp arc in the air, landing firmly on the beast's fang-filled mouth. Alicia tapped the monster's body with the spear. Their skin is too hard. Attacking blindly will just ruin the weapon. Aim for the weak spots, like the eyes, mouth, or the gaps in the body. As she finished speaking, the spear thrust violently into the monster's mouth. A cracking sound echoed as the girl landed lightly. That's how you deal with them. The knights were beyond shocked. The fragile girl they thought they needed to protect had just killed a magic beast with total ease. Sensing a powerful enemy, all the caucus suddenly turned their focus to her. The two knights took the chance to regroup. Alicia showed no fear, only the thrill of battle. Sure enough, once they knew the weaknesses, the tide began to turn. She fought while glancing at the knights. They must be Tyson's men. They learn and adapt incredibly fast. At this rate, it should be over soon. But just then, the spear in her hand suddenly shattered. Alicia froze. What's going on? Dozens of meters away, someone came racing on horseback. His muscles were tensed, and a giant axe flew from his hand. In a flash of light, a monster was sliced in half. Alicia's eyes widened in surprise. It was Lakehart. He grabbed Alicia nervously, his voice filled with frantic concern. Are you okay? Are you hurt? Alicia looked at his tense jawline and suddenly remembered the days and nights in hell. Back then, She had curled up in the darkness countless times, praying for someone to reach out and save her. But by the time she learned to survive in hell on her own and no longer needed anyone, the salvation she once longed for never came. She suddenly smiled. I'm fine. Alicia pointed to the remains of the magic beast. But have these appeared here before? His fiancée was a warrior from the sands of hell. But the man had no idea. So when he heard the girl had wandered into a forest with magic beasts, Lakehart nearly lost his mind. His worry and urgency left Alicia stunned. The last time she felt this kind of emotion was from her mother, but that was it. She flashed a professional smile. I'm fine. Have things like this happened here before? After confirming she was safe, Lakehart breathed a sigh of relief. Luckily, you don't seem to be injured. The forest. That's fine too. Just avoid any unnecessary exposure. Leave the cleanup to my men. Lakehart's attitude toward her had shifted. He must have heard about her slaying the magic beast from the knights. But Alicia still felt a lingering sense of annoyance. Don't you have anything else to say? The man's tone remained flat. Granting the title seems to have exceeded their expectations. Things like this might keep happening. Let's take this chance to step up the security at Lily's palace. Alicia suddenly realized that. To Lakehart, these things were just business as usual. Though the Emperor seemed to care about his brother, Lakehart had likely lived his whole life under surveillance. The girl sighed lightly. You guys handle it. For the Archduke's sake, I've kept quiet until now, but it seems some people have gotten the wrong idea that they can just look down on me. She tapped the table with one finger. From that point, the entire table shattered. From now on, I'm going to do things my way, however I damn well please. He was branded as a demon by the world, but in reality, he was a living sacrifice for the royal family. Since he was 14, Lakehart had been confined to the Tyson territory. Whenever the second moon, ManhWa, rose, an infernal burning sensation would sweep through his body. Yet his body would gradually freeze like ice. His head felt like it was being repeatedly pierced by countless blades. The agony made him convulse. The butler's worried voice came from outside. Lakehart used all his strength to roar at him to back off. He forced himself up, his vision blurred by pain. On the brink of losing his mind, he pulled a dagger from his waist and plunged it into his arm. Blood sprayed everywhere, but when he pulled it out, the wound on his arm healed instantly. Self-mutilation to maintain his sanity had become routine for Lakehart. Otherwise, the overwhelming rage and despair would be enough to make him destroy every living thing in sight. He stumbled toward his bedroom. This was a curse every Archduke of Tyson had to endure. No medicine, no cure. The pain followed them like a shadow until the end of their lives. Lakehart occasionally wondered if he had personally killed the former emperor while he was alive. Would he have felt any better? The thought of suffering through this for another 10 days was driving him insane. I should have just killed everyone and be done with it. Curses spilled from his lips, but his remaining sanity repeatedly warned him not to. Every year at this time, Lakehart would lock himself away, refusing to let anyone near. The grueling hours passed slowly in pain and struggle. This was Alicia's first day staying at Tyson Castle. The assassins had switched to a different method of attack, setting Lily's palace on fire. Until the palace was repaired, she had to stay here. She wanted to head out and hunt some magic beasts. But Lakehart ordered her not to, simply because Tyson's territory wasn't safe. Before leaving, he dropped a strange warning. At night, lock your door. Who knew that the very next day, she'd hear that Lakehart had fallen ill? Alicia was full of doubt. How could someone called a demon? We'll talk about that later. Roderick, are Tyson's knights really so incompetent that they can't protect a single person? Roderick thought. All hell was about to break loose, but Lakehart's tone suddenly softened. I won't hold you responsible this time. But don't you dare breathe a word about today's events to anyone. This time, Lakehart didn't leave her side. He personally escorted her for the rest of the journey. But as soon as they arrived, Alicia was tossed into the Lily's palace. The reason being, since they weren't married yet, as a countess, she should live in her own annex. Since that day, she hadn't seen Lakehart for nearly a month. He was busy every day with official business and receiving guests. Today, Baron Gritz was visiting. A huge, burly man suddenly turned around and bolted in the other direction. I heard she's just some naive lady from the north. Just as I thought, the security here is a hot mess. If I can sneak in, the rest will be easy. What is this? The man instinctively replied. It's a gift to turn the master of this place into a heretic. He suddenly snapped out of it, but before he could make a sound, a sharp chop hit his neck, knocking him unconscious. Alicia picked up the item he dropped and frowned slightly. There were way too many visitors today. At nightfall, the door was gently pushed open. A shadow slipped in. A masked man pulled out a dagger, the cold blade glinting. Alicia snapped her eyes open. In an instant, the dagger was knocked away. Do you have any idea how many people have come by since dark? The girl spoke lazily. It's fine if you're looking for me, but at least let me get some sleep. The assassin was stunned, then let out a weird laugh. No wonder. The others didn't make it back. Who knew the future Grand Duchess was such a freak? But this time, I've come fully prepared. You're not making it out alive. Before he could finish, a new assassin suddenly attacked him. A familiar voice rang out. I hope I'm not too late. Long time no see, Lady Alicia. I've completed your request. Judith. Alicia looked delighted. I knew I could count on you. Perfect job. I'm glad you're satisfied. Judith nodded. She glanced at the captive on the floor. Should I take care of this one? The captured assassin showed no fear, threatening instead. Do you have any idea how many of us there are? Judith's eyes turned cold as she shut him up. The man instantly took a hard blow. Who hired you? The assassin remained stubborn. No matter what you do, I will never disclose my client's information. It was Baron Gritz. Judith cut him off directly. He's been trying to use his daughter to become the Grand Duchess to grab power. When the framing failed, he resorted to these extreme measures. Did you really think such a crappy plan would work? If it were the Croa clan, they would never take such a job. That's great, Judith. It seems you've become a Croa master. The assassin's heart skipped a beat. Croa? This young girl is the new master of the Croa clan? Judith narrowed her eyes slightly. This is all thanks to your help. All right. Alicia stood up and walked toward the assassin. Now then, as for our uninvited guest, let's settle this little problem. The next day, at Tyson Manor, did you kill him? Lakard asked. Alicia put down her tea. Not yet. Good. I'll send someone to handle it. You. To this place. If I leave Tyson, I won't survive. Remember when we first met? Back then. It was nothing. But right now is when my yearly curse is at its worst. Seeing the girl's worried face, Lakard actually smiled. Don't look at me like that. I've already met the person who can change everything. Alicia's eyes widened. Who? When Lakard looked at her with a smile, she realized. Wait. Could it be me? Lakard's smile faded, his tone becoming dead serious. Like that deal you mentioned before, I hope you'll accept my request. When my symptoms flare up in Tyson, please hold my hand. He paused and added, no matter what you want, as long as it isn't the throne, I can give it to you. Although I don't care, clashing with the royal family is just a pain. Alicia thought it was absurd. Was he treating noble titles like pebbles on the road? As long as I hold your hand, I can have anything? Of course. Then that sapphire set from Lily Shank. Lakard raised an eyebrow. Is that all? In a way, it's already yours. If you want permanent ownership of the annex, I can transfer that to you right now too. Alicia was thinking this was too easy when his tone shifted. However, there's one condition. Her heart sank. What is it? You must never let anyone know you can take away my pain. Especially the royal family. Why? Aren't they your family? Lakard let go of her hand. Because if they find out, they'll make you the Grand Duchess of Tyson by tomorrow. What does that mean? The man was silent for a long time before slowly speaking. Alicia, don't marry me. The girl stared at him blankly. Last night, this man was begging her not to let go, yet in the blink of an eye, he said he didn't want to marry her. Actually, Alicia wasn't that into Lakard, and she certainly didn't fall in love at first sight. But those words still gave her a sense of frustration from being rejected. Maybe it was because subconsciously, she assumed that since there was an engagement, they'd end up in a business marriage. So this blunt, yet strangely gentle rejection made her unusually annoyed. Just as her thoughts were in a jumble, Lakard's curse flared up again. He curled up in pain on the bed, his voice trembling. Those amber eyes looking at her seemed to lose focus. Alicia rushed over instantly. She held his forehead. I'm sorry, I'm late. He suddenly snapped back to reality. What was she doing? Throwing a tantrum at a sick man. Why? Didn't you call me? Lakard realized it was her, and a weak smile immediately appeared on his face. It's just for a moment. It's fine. Alicia sighed and softened her voice. What can I do to make you feel better faster? Lakard answered obediently. The pain disappears where you touch. She placed her hand on his forehead again. Like this? As his breathing gradually could be run through with a sword on the battlefield and be back to kill enemies the next day. So how could he suddenly fall ill? Besides, the attitude of most servants was weird. They didn't show even a hint of worry. Not even a doctor had shown up. Thinking about this, she asked to see Lakard. The adjutant didn't stop her and even offered to lead the way. Lakard's room was vast and lonely. Along the way, not only were there no servants, but not even a guard was in sight. He was pale as a ghost, looking sickly, and occasionally twitched from the struggle to breathe. He looked like he had just been fished out of the water. Alicia took out a handkerchief to wipe the cold sweat from his brow. She suddenly remembered that when they first met, Lakard had been in a similar state. She tried to do what she did that day, gently holding his hand. Could it be that being touched by someone could ease his pain? But then, why did he send everyone away? Late at night, Lakehart stumbled into Alicia's room. He stood by the girl's bed. Alicia sensed it and woke up. Your Highness? The man's raspy voice was almost a plea. I'm sorry. Alicia, this must be so confusing, but please. The girl scrambled up as Lakehart suddenly grabbed her hand. Please don't let go. Alicia looked at him, confused. His expression looked as if he were about to burst into tears at any moment. In the next second, the man lost all strength and collapsed into her arms. The girl was stunned. Your Highness. She didn't let go of Lakehart because his body was terrifyingly cold. Sunlight poured through the window into the bedroom. Lakehart watched Alicia quietly. For the first time in 14 years, the pain torturing him was perfectly suppressed. He didn't remember much of last night, but the tightly held hand and the roaring fireplace gave him a good idea of what had happened. Ever since their first meeting, he realized that as long as Alicia touched him, the pain would vanish. He clearly knew this. Yet he had deliberately avoided her. Now he had no choice but to give up the struggle. This person was his only salvation. Lakehart used the back of his hand to gently touch Alicia's cheek. The girl's eyebrows twitched slightly. He panicked and quickly pulled back his hand. Not long after, Alicia woke up. She had barely slept all night. The girl suddenly remembered Lakehart. His voice came from nearby. It's okay to let go for a bit now. Lakehart looked at her with a long-lost smile. Do you want to rest a while longer? Alicia was still worried. Are you okay now? She grabbed his hand again. I'm the one who should ask if you're feeling all right. The girl gave a light laugh. I'm fine. Lakehart was silent for a moment before suddenly speaking. I know you must think I'm really weird right now. Alicia shook her head. No, Your Highness. Not weird so much as curious. Can you tell me what's happening to you? Lakehart's eyes darkened as he said slowly, fine, but you must promise not to tell a soul. I don't know the exact reason, but I'm bound. Lakehart's breathing steadied. He tilted his head slightly, leaning a bit closer to her. Just holding hands is enough. Alicia stared at him quietly. She realized that when this man was vulnerable, he seemed to become unusually clingy. Lakehart reached out to grab her hand. Right now, his expression was incredibly pitiful. Please don't let go of me. Alicia felt a sharp tugging at her heartstrings. Seeing him like this, her earlier anger vanished instantly. Through their talk, she finally understood that as long as she held his hand, the pain would slowly fade away. But the moment she let go, the agony would come rushing back. Lakehart suddenly spoke. Why are you looking at me like that? The girl spoke her mind. Because I think you're pretty pathetic. Faced with such a borderline insulting remark, he didn't seem to mind at all. Lakehart's voice was gentle with a hint of playfulness. Then are you willing to stay here and keep a pathetic man like me company? Alicia thought that compared to the brutal, cold demon from the rumors, maybe this was the real Lakehart. Just then, he pulled an elegant key from under his pillow. Alicia took it. What's this? Lakehart replied. It's the key to the Grand Duke's Chamber of Commerce. The first time the girl realized she had died was in hell. She never felt hunger, and now she saw the same traits in Lakehart. The difference was, she was scared to face the fact that she was dead, while Lakehart was afraid of being seen as a monster. Not long ago, Lakehart gave her the key to the Grand Duchess's room. This didn't just mean she could exercise the rights of the lady of the house before marriage. She could also control the lifestyle in Tyson. Regarding this expensive gift, Lakehart only said one thing. I trust you, Alicia. This left her with a swirl of complex emotions. On the fourth day of them living and eating together, the girl asked, so, it takes 10 days in total? Yes, Lakehart replied while braiding her hair. Though, Alicia, why did you ask me to braid your hair? The girl looked down. It makes me feel more comfortable, since we have to keep holding hands. Lakehart and Alicia each used one hand to braid. It was a total disaster, but the biggest problem was bathing. No matter how fast she moved, when she returned, she'd always see Lakehart in agony. Basically, because of him, Alicia couldn't shower properly. The man blushed. As he apologized, I'm sorry, it's all my fault. The girl turned away. I didn't say that to make you apologize. Luckily, the servants are helping out, so it's not too bad. But I'm a little curious about something. Lakehart watched her. What is it? How did you get through this before I was here? Alicia looked up at him. Isn't there any medicine that can ease the pain? Lakehart suddenly let go of her hand and reached for his waist. Alicia's eyes went cold as she instantly pushed back the half-drawn dagger. Both were stunned. She had acted purely on instinct. To defend herself, Lakehart immediately explained, don't worry. I wasn't going to attack. But don't be too shocked. In a flash of light, he actually stabbed the back of his own hand with the dagger. But the bleeding wound healed instantly. Alicia was shell-shocked, staring straight at his arm. The other party didn't notice. I use a grater. Was stunned. What? Did the noise in your head disappear? He stiffened and nodded. Yes. Alicia gently stroked his face. I thought more contact might work better. It seems this method works too. Despite his repeated objections, she eventually got into the carriage. Besides, he found it hard to say no to Alicia. The night before, Alicia had learned the reason for the summons from Judith. The emperor had been childless for years. The sudden news of his mistress's pregnancy caused an uproar in the capital. Recalling Ricard was just to stabilize the situation, effectively throwing a difficult problem at him. So, Alicia made her third prediction. Regardless, this is His Majesty's first child. There's no need to spoil the mood for everyone. So, you just need to offer your sincere congratulations. The carriage suddenly jolted, and Alicia fell forward. As Ricard caught her, the person in his arms continued. By the time the next season arrives, His Majesty will welcome his first princess. Alicia waited for his response, but Ricard just stared at her blankly. A few seconds later, they realized they were embracing. They pulled apart quickly, someone's heart pounding wildly. He suddenly felt a bit flushed. A few days later, they arrived at the palace. The Grand Duke's arrival made the already tense atmosphere even more heavy, but only Alicia could feel that Ricard was actually in a pretty good mood. Introduced by the attendant, she said goodbye to Ricard, reminding him once more not to forget her words. Inside the meeting room, people were arguing fiercely over whether Marquis ManhWa's daughter should stay in the palace. Only a child born in the palace can be recognized by the imperial family. Just as the emperor was about to lose it, the attendant loudly announced the arrival of Grand Duke Tyson. Everyone expected Ricard to firmly oppose it. No one cared more about the empire's order than him. But the emperor's eyes suddenly widened, staring intently at his brother's face. Although filled with questions, he asked anyway. Grand Duke Tyson, what are your thoughts? Ricard said with a smile. Brother, congratulations on your upcoming first child. The emperor looked incredulous, despite the urgent summons. He expected his stubborn brother to vote no. But Ricard not only didn't oppose it, but instead suggested the Marquis's daughter move in as soon as possible. Marquis ManhWa was about to express his gratitude when Ricard raised his hand to stop him. I heard the lady is 8 months pregnant. Better to bring her in soon to rest. With an heir, the empire will be more stable. Several royals immediately stepped in to block it. Unable to understand his sudden change of heart, Ricard shifted his tone. While I am happy for my brother to have an heir, it's an indisputable fact that we must protect the imperial succession. If it's a son, we'll discuss the succession later. But if it's a daughter, then her right to the throne should be revoked. How about that? Although imperial law doesn't limit succession by gender, there has never been a precedent for a princess taking the throne. Most importantly, Alicia told him the emperor's first prince would definitely be born to the empress. At this moment, Alicia was standing in front of the empress's portrait, Eleanor, using pain to temporarily offset his condition. During these days with Ricard, he not only refused to eat or drink, but even refused to sleep. She should have noticed it sooner. This was exactly how it was when she was in hell. Have you ever been to hell? Ricard clearly didn't expect such a blunt question. He stared at her blankly. Just as Alicia began to regret her impulsiveness, he finally spoke. Although others call me a demon, you don't need to worry. I've never been to hell, and the curse. Alicia suddenly cut him off. Why are you explaining yourself? Ricard looked at her with a complex gaze. Because I don't want you to look at me that way. Then how should I look at you? The man answered slowly. Just like before. I don't want you to be afraid of me. In hell, Alicia never felt hunger. After spending a whole year there, she finally realized she was truly dead. But she couldn't let go of her obsession with living, forcing herself to swallow anything edible. But her body didn't react and couldn't digest anything. Eventually, she had to give up and accept the fact that she was dead. Seeing Ricard struggling in pain reminded her of her former self. No, I'm not afraid of you. You just remind me of someone. From that day on, Alicia began making simple requests to Ricard, like eating together. When Ricard hesitated, she would threaten him. Didn't you promise to do anything as long as I held your hand? What? Should I be proposing to you now? Hearing the word marriage, Ricard got scared and immediately sat up straight. I'll eat, he said, shakily picking up his spoon. Grand Duke, is eating really that painful for you? No. I'm just a bit overwhelmed. Alicia was amused. Then you can sit next to me. As long as they stayed together, they slowly found a comfortable way to be around each other. Ricard told her many things about the Tyson territory and the imperial family, just as the curse cycle was about to end. An urgent report arrived from the palace. The emperor wanted his mistress to give birth inside the palace, and this woman's father Marquis ManhWa, was Ricard's greatest political rival. At this time, Alicia gave Ricard her third prediction. With only 2 days left in the curse cycle, an urgent summons from the palace shattered the peace. The daughter of Ricard's biggest rival was pregnant with the emperor's child. Marquis ManhWa leads a faction of the emperor's old guard, standing as a formidable opponent in the empire. If his daughter gives birth to an heir in the palace, this fragile balance of power will completely collapse. Early the next morning, Ricard prepared to head back to the capital. Unexpectedly, Alicia followed him. The girl had a harmless smile, yet it made him strangely nervous. She took his hand and, using the curse as an excuse, demanded to go with him. Ricard was about to refuse when a sharp pain shot through his head. He held his breath and endured it. The next second, Alicia was holding him tightly. Do you feel better, Ricard? The rift between the imperial couple had already formed. The past cannot be undone. She could only urge her to resolve her inner turmoil. Besides, it's not uncommon for nobles to have mistresses. If she could ease the empress's pain even a little, it would be worth it. If she hadn't returned to age 17, she probably would have been engaged to that man by now. Though a scandal would have broken out soon after. Alicia sighed. She suddenly remembered Ricard's words, "Don't marry me. Does the Grand Duke have another lover?" A familiar voice suddenly rang out from behind. Who said I had another lover? Alicia turned around. It was Ricard. He came to find her as soon as his meeting ended. The girl felt a bit awkward. Of all people, he had to be the one to overhear it. But thanks to that, she knew Ricard didn't have any so-called mistress. How is the empress? She is the embodiment of true elegance and intellect. Are you going to visit the concubine now? Why would I go there? If you only visit the empress and leave immediately, people might find it strange. Alicia gave a sly smile. I have no need to establish a relationship with a concubine. She still had that confident look. Ricard couldn't help but smile back. The wind grew chilly. The next moment, he took off his coat and draped it over Alicia. Alicia suppressed a surge of murderous intent. The lady before her didn't notice a thing, continuing to provoke her with a flippant tone. Meanwhile, the emperor began to suspect something. It was as if his wife and brother had swapped souls. Their behavior was completely different. And the only variable during this time was Alicia. What are you two? Some kind of scam artist couple? Ricard picked up his teacup and took a slow, deliberate sip. His tone was flat. I'm not married. The other person immediately retorted. But you have a fiancé. An engagement isn't a marriage. The emperor's tone grew urgent. Your fiancé visits the empress every day, and Eleanor is quite fond of her. This is so strange. I heard she just gave her a few pieces of candy. Ricard countered. Is there a problem with that? In fact, the emperor had been going nearly insane lately. Everything seemed bizarre. His brother, who had been like an iron wall since childhood, always sticking strictly to principles, had suddenly become flexible and sophisticated. His fiancée had definitely changed him. If you only look at the surface, Alicia was no different from any other noble lady, except for her attitude toward the empress and the concubine, which was unlike anyone else's. The emperor thought to himself, I must find a time to meet her alone. Right about then, rumors about Alicia suddenly began spreading through the capital's social circles. They said the future Grand Duchess was not only arrogant and willful, but also frequently foul-mouthed. After investigating, Judith found the source was Viviana, the third daughter of Marquis ManhWa, and the concubine's sister. Recently, Alicia had been learning embroidery from Judith, but she clearly had no talent for it. The girl grew increasingly annoyed. Honestly, this is a pain. She felt it was necessary to give her a warning. Judith, send a bouquet of white calla lilies to Viviana in my name. They are common blessing flowers for weddings, but also mourning flowers used to decorate coffins at funerals, symbolizing both the beginning and the end of life. Receiving the flowers, Viviana slammed them onto the ground. However, the most beautiful woman in the entire empire, not only was her beauty peerless, but she also had a voice so divine that people called her the sea nymph. The emperor was once one of her most passionate suitors, yet this romance, celebrated by all, only lasted 9 years. Lady Alicia. The girl turned around at the sound of her name, only to hear the messenger report respectfully. Her Majesty the Empress requests your presence. She was the empire's greatest beauty. But 9 years into her marriage, she faced her husband's infidelity. Even knowing the mistress was pregnant, the Empress maintained a dignified smile. However, that fake mask was torn off on the spot by Alicia. The emperor brought Marquis ManhWa's daughter into the palace as a concubine. Although the current sovereign has a harem, he was actually pressured by his ministers to take consorts due to the lack of an heir. He never once set foot in those palaces. Everyone knew the emperor only truly loved the empress. Unfortunately, they never had children. Then 10 days ago, this scandal broke. Eleanor had long expected this day. That's why back when the emperor was still the crown prince, she had rejected him for 4 whole years. And after 9 years of marriage without a child, she knew that sooner or later, he would take other women for the sake of the bloodline. Tears welled up in Eleanor's eyes. Her inner resentment and rage made her growl under her breath. This woman, who always maintained the image of a perfect Alicia took her trembling hand. Please, take this. Eleanor looked confused. Candy? Yes. When you're feeling down. Having one can help steady your emotions. Eleanor actually listened and ate the candy. The unexpected gesture helped her regain her composure. Lady Alicia, why exactly did you come here? She knew that despite some future complications, the crown prince would eventually be born to the empress. But the empress would suffer from severe heart disease due to excessive worry, rarely appearing in public again. Alicia couldn't bear to see her waste away like that. In the past, my pride was wounded, and I felt I had no one to talk to, so I just hid away. But later, I was filled with deep regret. If only I had reached out first back then, I wouldn't have missed how they truly felt. Eleanor thought Alicia just wanted to befriend her, but the next words made her furious. Over her. Alicia, have you ever felt like dying because your pride was wounded? I know. Maintaining your dignity and pride as empress is important, but I hope you can show your true self, at least before His Majesty. If you don't let him see your struggle, he will only remain indecisive. Besides, you are still beautiful. Even when you cry, you are as stunning as a sea spirit. Are you telling me to cry in front of the emperor? Yes. He will surely understand. And I promise you, his heart will ache for you. No matter how hard it is, this too shall pass. Please take care of yourself. I will visit you again soon. Leaving the empress's palace, Alicia remained expressionless. Things looked bad for Alicia. After all, the other side only spread rumors. While she had used physical force in public, she had to prove Viviana was the one behind the rumors. Living with Ricard for so long, she had almost forgotten how fragile nobles were. Ricard felt a sudden chill. The emperor silently observed the two. His brother never spoke out of turn, was dull, and lacked a sense of humor. Seeing him so panicked was actually quite entertaining. Lady Alicia, do you have anything to say in your defense? In your defense? Just as she was about to speak, the doors were pushed open again. It was the empress. The emperor took her hand. Since this happened in the palace, the empress should lead the hearing. Viviana panicked. She thought it was over, but then the empress harshly scolded Alicia. Using violence in the palace is shameful behavior. I don't want to hear any excuses. Viviana was thrilled. What? I thought they were close. Guess the empress doesn't dare offend my sister. Once my sister gives birth to an heir. As she was gloating, the empress shifted her tone. Of course, I'm not saying Viviana was in the right. While the concubine is about to give birth, as her sister, you've caused such a huge mess. Viviana immediately played the victim. Your Majesty, I've been so wronged. Lady Alicia not only ignored me, but she also hit me repeatedly. Then can you tell me where it happened? Viviana acted like she had been waiting for this. Of course, the first time was in the morning. I was going from the inner palace to the eastern garden. Lady Alicia blocked my path and hit me for no reason. Unexpectedly, the empress exposed her lie. Actually, I've already investigated. You two just passed each other then. The gardeners and maids all gave the same testimony. Viviana panicked. I misremembered. Right, the first time was at noon. The empress's tone remained elegant. According to you, Lady Alicia used all her strength to slap you. Yes, it hurt so much that even the doctor said I almost went blind. The empress's voice stayed calm. I see. Since it's so serious, let's call in the doctor who treated you right now. He'll be your best witness. Viviana was stunned. She didn't have a doctor. My attendants can testify. No need to bother a doctor. This time the empress cut her off. Does that doctor even exist? Marquis Manhwa knew it was bad, but he couldn't stop his daughter. Viviana's face twisted. This isn't fair. Why am I the only one being judged? Everyone knows Alicia goes to the empress's palace every day. You've been biased from the start. The empress still had a smile on her face, but her tone completely changed. Lady Viviana, are you accusing me? Or are you questioning the laws of the imperial family? Marquis Manhwa rushed forward to protect his daughter. Your Majesty, please forgive her. She doesn't know the palace rules well. The emperor suddenly spoke, his tone mocking. Living in the palace for so long and not knowing the rules. Marquis, that's a terrible excuse. Your daughter changed her story multiple times. Aside from her companions, there are no witnesses or evidence, yet she still insists Lady Alicia assaulted her repeatedly. Well, there's only one way to prove it. Earlier, many people witnessed Lady Alicia claiming she only used 10% of her strength, while your daughter said she used her full power. Just a girl from the north, yet she dares to look down on him. Rumors about Alicia grew worse. No matter where she went, people always stared at her with strange looks. Even though she didn't care, having flies constantly buzzing in her ear was annoying. Suddenly, faint sobbing came from nearby. Curious, Alicia poked her head out. She heard a voice crying. I truly wanted to be close to her. But she won't even look at me. Wait, are they talking about her? The maid leading the way suddenly looked At her nervously. Wow, so she really was the star of the gossip. After listening a bit longer, she knew this person was Viviana. Just because she didn't visit the concubine, this family was sticking to her like crap. Let's go. She turned to leave. Rushing out to argue now would only make her look just as stupid. But the moment she was about to walk away, the other girl started again. Alicia tried to calm her murderous urges. This isn't hell. She had to restrain herself. But Viviana's next words set her off. She blocked my way and slapped me so hard. With a loud crash, the wall cracked. Damn it. To hell with patience. She wouldn't kill her. But she had to teach her a lesson. The girl's cold voice rang out. You said I slapped you hard? Viviana, who was faking tears, turned around in a panic. Once she saw it was Alicia, she immediately put on an arrogant look. Lady Alicia. Before she could finish, Alicia swung her hand. A crisp slapping sound echoed, and Viviana hit the ground. I didn't care about those ridiculous rumors, but what I just heard was beyond absurd. Oh, by the way, I used less than 10% of my strength just now. Get up, Lady Viviana. This time, I'll give it my all. In front of everyone, she slapped the rumor-monger unconscious. But this scene was caught by the Emperor. Already suspicious of Alicia, he decided to intervene personally. After Viviana woke up, she wouldn't stop crying, glaring viciously at Alicia from time to time. Marquis ManhWa arrived first, followed by Alicia's father. He didn't even glance at his daughter, sitting straight down next to Marquis ManhWa. Just then, the doors to the audience chamber were shoved open. Hasty, panicked footsteps approached rapidly. Ricard arrived out of breath. Before Alicia could speak, he grabbed her. Alicia, did you kill someone? She was momentarily speechless. After getting a no, Ricard's tense nerves relaxed slightly. That's good. Since they're not dead, maybe. Just seriously injured? Do they still look human? Seeing things get more ridiculous, Alicia cut him off, completely shifting the mood. This Grand Duke Tyson, who crushed enemies' heads like watermelons on the Western Front, was treating his own fiancée like a monster. Ricard seemed oblivious. I guess there's been a misunderstanding. Makes sense. If you really hit someone, they wouldn't have survived. Alicia was about to lose it. Was this guy here just to make things worse? The Emperor finally spoke. Grand Duke Tyson, the victim is fine. Take a seat. Once everyone was present, the Emperor formally began the investigation. The maid, who led the way, stated what happened. Lady Alicia said she only used 10% of her strength, but Lady Viviana fainted immediately. Then let her use her full strength to strike once more. We shall see what happens. It wasn't until the Emperor ordered Alicia to show her full power that Marquis ManhWa realized he messed with the wrong person. Even Grand Duke Tyson described his fiancée as someone whose strike would leave an opponent no chance of survival. How could he let his daughter provoke Alicia again? He grabbed Viviana and harshly ordered her to apologize immediately. More shocking than the exposed lie was the Emperor's attitude. From this day until the concubine gives birth, everyone from the ManhWa family is banned from entering the inner palace. Viviana screamed in frustration. But I'm the child's aunt. My sister will worry if I suddenly disappear. The Emperor stopped dead in his tracks. Enough. Are you threatening me? Saying something will happen to her if she doesn't see you? Marquis ManhWa, starting today, Viviana is banned from all public events without my permission. The Emperor dismissed everyone, leaving only Ricard and Alicia. His previous coldness vanished instantly, replaced by a gentle demeanor. I hope you two marry soon. That is my sincere wish. Ricard's face darkened. He led Alicia quickly out of the palace. From now on, stop going to the Empress's palace. He has his eye on you. Alicia was confused. What did I do? Ricard lowered his voice. He has always been irrationally suspicious of anyone with power. Ricard suddenly gestured for her to look ahead. It was Alicia's father, Baron Ryan. Her luck today was truly terrible. However, the expected scolding never came. Instead, her father bowed to Ricard in apology. My apologies, Your Grace. My daughter's mistake has delayed your schedule. Not only that, he turned to remind Alicia. Hurry up and apologize. Though they had just had a huge fight, he was now acting like a loving father. Alicia turned to Ricard. My apologies, Your Grace, for causing you such inconvenience. As soon as Ricard said it was fine, she looked at her caring father. Do you need something else? Her attitude clearly meant, if not, then get lost. Marquis Ryan acted as if he were possessed. I just wanted to say you did well today. But the other side has complex connections. You almost got into real trouble. I'm worried you won't make any friends. It turns out he planned to host a banquet, soon to let his daughter meet more ladies her age. Alicia couldn't wrap her head around her father's motives. She made an excuse to send him away. As they boarded the carriage, Ricard carefully reached out his hand. This time, Alicia didn't ignore him, which gave him a strange sense of relief. But the moment he stepped inside, the curse flared up. The girl quickly pulled off her glove and grabbed his hand. Does it hurt? Ricard shook his head. Not exactly. I was just worried my fiancé had killed someone, so my emotions were a bit high, making the voices in my head louder. Alicia looked away guiltily. You should have said you weren't feeling well. A thought crossed her mind. The Emperor must have known about his condition, so why the urgent summons? Ricard's tone suddenly softened. It's fine now. As long as you're by my side, I feel like I can endure anything. Do you really have no friends? Being looked at with such pity made Alicia flare up. What are you talking about? He thinks she has no friends? Lucy and Judith didn't count, and those from the Hell Domain weren't exactly peers, just loyal subjects. She searched her mind, but couldn't find a single person she could call a friend. I don't need friends. Living alone is human nature. Alicia, humans can't live without friends. Ricard asked. This because Marquis Ryan had suddenly mentioned wanting her to make friends before he left. The look on his face was identical to Ricard's right now. Alicia suppressed her anger. If a person is strong enough, they don't need friends. You should know that better than anyone, Your Grace. But I have some. Even though I have many enemies, I do have friends. Ricard dealt the final blow. Alicia just wanted to throw this clueless man out of the carriage. A few days later, the capital's social scene returned to normal. Just as Alicia was about to head out, Ricard appeared before her again.